for we are live. Good morning, real closers. Good morning. We are back to our regular schedule every Wednesday. We weren't able to make it last Wednesday due to unforeseen circumstances. But we're back. We're
We're
back.
back.
Hope you guys had a great weekend. It was Memorial Weekend. Some took the time off. Some put in a little bit more work. And today we have a really nice topic. We want to talk about the importance of collaboration and masterminding. How do we leverage, the community in order to get more results? How's it going, Marcus? How's it going today?
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I talk about that because every Wednesday we meet, and this goes right into our meeting, the mastermind for Street Text. And what I know about this meeting alone, and this is something that everybody should consider, no matter what they're doing, is you live in this very disconnected world, and some of your brokerages offer this type of masterminding, but many don't. And I think the important piece of this is if you're trying to accomplish something that's massive, that's big, and you have this huge vision, then why not collaborate with like-minded, like-valued people? And what I mean by that is social media is very much an image-driven world. It's all about being an influencer. But when you start looking at the context of mastermind and collaboration, you start realizing that the world as we know it right now, where the winners are it's not so much dog eat dog anymore, or exclusivity. It's where people come together and they focus on value and education, and collaboration is such a big piece of that. So especially with the top of funnel, which is what we preach as the fastest way to building your database and growing your pipelines, it comes down to so much about how you leverage technology to grow your know, like, and trust, how to grow your brand, how to do it in such a way where you are separating yourself from competition, so that when people get to know you and like you, they're seeing you as somebody who's serving, not selling. And you're taking a step back and not trying to go after appointment after appointment after appointment, but you're trying to be recognized in that community as the influencer who's there to share, who's there to give, and really acknowledge that you just want to be of service in the times of uncertainty, in the times that we're in as interest rates are climbing, in the times that we're in as, you help people understand and frame in the reality of the situation they're in right now, rather than try to sell them something. You want to be there to serve them. And so you can do that in collaboration because you can learn from others who made those mistakes. You can learn from others on how you talk, how you pick up the phone, how you role play, scripts, strategies, automations. There's so much on the surface. Like on the surface, a lot of people are like, well, let's just get into lead generation. I'm like, well, no, your lead generation is probably going to be one of the easiest pieces once you figure out the model of what we've talked about before, the quadrant of lead gen. When you figure out that it's a byproduct of the right images, the right copy, split testing and A/B testing, and really just knowing what type of objective you should be running, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or whatever you're running, then once you figure that formula out, predictability of leads should be coming pretty fast. Depending on where you are, you might pay a little bit more in a certain market just because that's a higher end market and you're auctioning out in that space of social. But once you figure that out, then everything is a byproduct of your follow-up. And your follow-up is really a byproduct of how you make that person feel. Do they immediately sense that you're authentic and genuine in your delivery and your approach? And you can't be there all the time. So obviously you need to have automations that feel that way. Automations like email drip campaigns, automations like SMS. And then if you are leveraging ISAs, VAs, whatever you're doing, those people have to actually be trained in the way that represents you and your personality. Now, what about those people that are just curious today, like most people are, when they're scratching the surface and they click on something that they didn't know there was a person behind? Well, that's your opportunity just to serve, educate, but do it in a way where they get to know and like you throughout that process. And that's where you learn the importance of integrations. Where do you find all this stuff? You wouldn't figure this out unless you had a collaborative community, unless you had a mastermind environment. So if you find those environments where you can go to that once a week meeting, because that's not a sacrifice of your time. You have 24 hours a day. 7 days a week and you can't take an hour out to collaborate, then you're losing. You're losing out big time, because how much are you leveraging and learning by going into this community and masterminding with people that are winning, that figured out the formula, that have been doing it for years, in some case have dozens if not hundreds of deals just off of this one topic alone. But this applies to anything, whether you're in fitness, whether you need help in nutrition. You go to that group, you go to that environment. That's why people go to conferences. That's why people, because they need to be filled, right? But in the context of the day and age we're in, we're so lucky. Never have we had this access to internet. Never have we had this access to technology, so we can connect everywhere and anywhere. We don't actually have to go to places, and even though we like that, we can do it online. And Zoom, like we're doing right now, could put us in a room of 100 more people with cameras on. So this is the idea that I really am passionate about, because if you can find that in the context of everything you're trying to accomplish in life, I have somewhere, I have all these little these graphs, but there's that circle of success. Like, how do you define the 7 pillars of success really for yourself? Well, your business, your finances are only one aspect of that, right? Your health, your mental, emotional world, spiritual world, right? All this is personal development. All this goes hand in hand. And so you got to look at it as the only currency we truly have the same of is time. And if time is truly a currency, then how are we making that the most of that time? How are we time blocking appropriately? How are we giving ourselves the space to learn, to grow, to humble ourselves, to realize we don't know everything? And if you take that, I think that attitude in everything you do in life, you're always going to be a student. I love that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. A lot of people, they get stuck in pride, they get stuck in ego. And those are the people that are eventually going to fail out in this industry, especially because it's so transactional focused, it's so money driven, and it's all about this image that they're trying to portray. And underneath it all, people figured it out. We're not, we figured all figured out. So if they can't see that you have a genuine love and desire to help people and serve people, you're going to go extinct. Whether it's today or tomorrow or in the years ahead, people are going to recognize that you're just staying on the surface, that you're strictly there to make money, and you're going to start, your reputation precedes you, right? And eventually it catches up with you, and you can't really, it's a hard time to try to challenge or change that over time.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, and the market, it's always different, right? It's always changing, so you have to adapt. And the one thing that you can do, like you said, leverage people that are doing things right now. Like, for example, you've never done Facebook advertising, or if you've done it and it's not working, why is it not working, right? Are you doing it correctly? And then being able to be with a group of other people that you can see their success, you can kind of leverage that, and then you can kind of see, just apply that into your own stuff and then make that work, right? And again, it's not just about, like Marcus mentioned, right? The lead generation aspect of it with Facebook is once you crack that, that copy at creative, it's all about adding more money to Facebook, and then you get more leads, right? But then the thing is, what happens in the back end, right? What do you do with those leads once they come in, right? Leverage your time. I mean, you're not going to be able to be on the phone all the time, so leverage technology, SMS, email. If you are able to hire and train an ISA, put that ISA in place, right? And then leverage other people's knowledge on how to get that done for your business.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is scale it from there.
And you can't expect immediate results either. You got to give everything at least a quarter, if not 180 days before, especially with the top of funnel, before you start. Here's the way I put it. Everything that I talk about on the top of funnel, I tell people the challenge for you is going to be shifting your mindset first and foremost, from one that where you think you're going to get a bunch of deals from this right away to, hey, can you develop a system of follow-up process that actually creates conversations rather than conversions? Because if you can create conversations and you can get dialogue started, conversions will naturally happen as they get to know and like you, right? And if that's all you focus on in the first 90 days, developing those systems and those processes in your brand and being somebody who's just able to serve, bring value, I promise you, it's just a matter of time when that first deal comes. I've seen people get lucky in a trial with Street Text, for example, and they get this listing appointment that turns into a deal, and they just think that's what's going to happen. I almost cringe when I hear that, because that's just getting lucky. Like anybody can pull the slot at Vegas and get lucky with one little turn, right? Or blackjack, or what do you know? But the deal is, can you show me day in and day out that these key performance indicators, these KPIs, are what's driving your business? And I'll show you it's the discipline that develops the freedom that you're looking for in your life. Everything comes down to putting in the reps. Discipline equals freedom, just like we go to the gym, right? You want to be strong? Do you want to look good? Put in the reps. It's going to suck in the beginning, right? You're going to be fatigued. You're going to be sore. You're not going to come back. When you're on a diet, it sucks. Everybody else is eating the food they love, and you're around there and you're like, can't do it, right? But over time, as you develop that discipline, it becomes a lifestyle. And if you can create a lifestyle, especially in real estate, of one that you enjoy and that you're around people that lift you up, encourage you, sharpen you, edify you, call you out constructively, right? When you're not doing the right activities, you can take a snapshot of your business at this moment and say, hey, this is where you want to go. This is where you are. Here's what I'm saying you got to do, right? This is why it's good to hire coaches. This is why sometimes you got to relinquish control and let someone else assess where you're at and why you're not where you're going or where you want to get to. Accountability is a big part of that collaboration and masterminding too. It naturally creates an environment of accountability.
Yeah, you got to be open to change, right? I mean, one of the things that, in the context of Facebook leads, top of funnel leads, and expectations of results, being in a group that's doing this over and over again will make you realize that, yes, you have to change that mindset of getting deals right away, right? And we talked about this, right? You want to get deals this week with Facebook leads, you should have started 6 months ago, right? That's just the nature of top of funnel leads,
It's so true, man. And I can tell you that in my own experience, for example, and this is in the same realm, people right now are just sitting about and observing because they know interest rates are climbing, okay? And so, for example, I went to the bank where I have my mortgage the other day and where I have a home line of equity, and I was just wanting to review my options. And that was so awesome to hear this guy show me these graphs and start showing me the trends and help me understand this is not the time to make any decision. This is the time to sit back, observe. This is where I think this graph is trending. We should come back in a few weeks before we make any decisions. If we do make a decision, I think you should go variable based on your goals and plans. And it's like, wow, you're the guy that I want to work with because you just showed me and gave me value and education, and you weren't trying to sell me anything, even though that could have been your position just to make money. And I appreciate that. And because you gave me that experience, when that time comes when I want to make a decision, you're the person I want to work with. And this is the type of agent we're looking for today. The one that has our best concern in mind and not his own pocket.
And people can see that, people can see that. It's just how you go about that conversation. And if you go at it with the expectation of, yes, I'm going to have to nurture this lead, this potential deal, you're going to go at it differently, right?
Not even I have to, I get to. Because unless you change your mindset to like, oh, this is daunting and tedious and I have to do this, like that's why there's such a massive opportunity in this space, because so many people are not prepared to do that. They're looking for the next deal. And trust me, like if you're gonna make it in this new age of technology and this new age of influence, and you already don't have the reputation, it's gonna be a struggle for you unless you're prepared to put in the work. And this is how, like, you will, I believe, like, this is the future of the agent, or the agent of the old is going to go extinct.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Again, tying it all together, as we went through, we always do, we go through, like, it goes a lot deeper. On the surface, we talked about mastermind and collaboration. But we talk about that so you can learn all this other stuff. Because only when you mastermind do you start realizing, wow, this is so much more than lead gen. Now I have to understand mindset shift. And part of that mindset shift is coaching, accountability, collaboration, and putting in the reps, and then start understanding from that follow up, from developing a process with my brand, with videos, with the right integrations, BombBomb, HomeBot, to name a few examples. And then, thinking about how I set those automations up to be my brand, my personality, to get my videos inside of there, and then tracking them to know when they're being interacted with, and then knowing that's a cue for you to follow up authentically with that person. To develop systems like that, that's when you start learning in the context of collaboration and community, where all this naturally is like, wow, I planted seed after seed after seed after seed, and now I'm harvesting those seeds, and the fruit is coming from the seed harvest, right? But it takes time to nurture that seed, to water that seed. Just like, I just put in seeds. We ripped off our backyard, and we did everything. And now we put in the seeds and the lime and everything in there because it was just pure dirt. And been watering and watering and rotting and watering and waiting a week plus 10 days, and then now all of a sudden I'm seeing the little sprouts, and it's all coming out green in certain areas, and I'm like, wow, isn't it just beautiful how there's so many metaphors in life that apply to what we do and even our own relationships.
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
it's no different with people you don't know. You got to be willing to ultimately give to that place over and over again before you start seeing the fruit of that, because people are so jaded these days because they've been solicited. There's so much bad news and negative news, and it's just one thing after another out there. So they're looking for somebody who's different, who's unique, who's actually like a change in this world, and that's what's going to set you apart.
Yep. That's right. And I mean, again, tying it all back together, leverage, right? Leverage community, leverage people who are working on this already, and see the results that they have, and then just copy it, right? And then just repeat,
Rip off and duplicate, we say,
rip
right?
off and
You rip
duplicate.
off and duplicate, but then you make it your own. So it's not, there's nothing new under the sun, right? I don't care who you are. Like, you may think that you've invented this new thing. Chances are you just took it and made it a little bit different.
And that's okay. I mean, that's
Yeah,
okay.
but that's what we do. That's the success leaves patterns. Follow success.
That's right. Copy what works, make it your own, and make it work for yourself.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Thank you for stopping by again. We're here every Wednesday, Coffee for Closers, and we'll see you again next Wednesday. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Roberto. Talk soon.